Hello, hi now, beautiful people. Today we're gonna talk about money. I'm not a money expert, but I think I'm old enough to talk about this topic. Okay, I have bills to pay. I work, I pay my tax, so I can talk about money. So the cost of living in Ireland. First of all, the grass is not always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. That's my saying. You can make money wherever you are, in Africa, in Europe. You can come to Europe with the notion that you're gonna make money and struggle. A lot of people have gone back home. A lot of people have stayed, and some of them have struggled, but find a way to get out of the struggle. So I'm gonna talk about things that might affect you when you are just literally moving into Ireland. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with what I consider most important, which is accommodation. Where am I going to sleep? So rent. It depends whether you are renting or you are a homeowner. So I'll give a typical example of a student coming in, which is probably going to be rent. So your monthly payment, if I remember clearly, when I was renting before I got married, I was paying for an apartment. The lady I was living with was renting this apartment for 1,500. So we were splitting that into two. It was a 2-bedroomed house. So the good thing about this apartment is it had an in-suite. So each person had their own bathroom. So I was paying $750 each, excluding bills. So we'll get to that later. So yeah, rent in Dublin is very expensive. Apparently, it's one of the most expensive cities in Europe when it comes to accommodation, and there is a very limited amount of housing in Dublin, so it's quite congested. So people are coming in to work, and students as well. So it is cheaper when you move outside of Dublin, which I did live in Wicklow. I'm sure you've heard me saying that before. So I was paying quite less because I was driving, but at the same time I was spending a lot of money commuting, so it doesn't really make sense. But yeah, so rent. Okay, so the other thing, it is transport. Yeah, moving around, it's gonna cost you a leg and arm. So I do drive, so I'm gonna talk about that, and then the fact that you don't drive. So in a week I spend about 20 to 30 euro on my petrol, because I work from home. I don't travel quite a lot. So if you happen to be on a constant move every day, going to work during the week, you might spend about 70 to 100 euro per week. Yeah. So if you do have to use public transport, you can buy a leap card and top it up. Depends on how much you can afford in a week. So I would advise maybe top it up by 20 euro. You might spend that 20 euro in a week, but you might be forced to top up maybe if you happen to use it maybe during the weekend. So the leap card is a public card that is when you go into the bus services, you pay with it, or you can use coins to pay. So 20 to 25 euro per week, depending on how far you have to go, if you have to use 2 buses. Yeah. Okay, so utility bills, which is water, rent, gas, broadband. Yeah, if you have a cleaning lady, I don't. But so some of the things that you might need to consider. So water, they don't pay for water in Ireland, which is great. They did try to introduce it years ago, but that did not work. People stood up and said, no, you're not paying for something that is free. So that's the Irish people for you. But gas, TV, subscriptions and broadband and the like, you can sum it up to about maybe 200 euro per month with the so but you would find that utilities, they come in every 3 months, so you can save money and then maybe spend about 50 euro every month, with regard to the fact that you will be paying a bill that has been summed up to 3 months. Do you understand? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about healthcare. I did mention on my previous video about healthcare, so I'm not gonna talk a lot about that, but you have to have an insurance. Check out my previous video and you can get more details about healthcare in Ireland. And then another spend, which I don't usually do anymore, would be like fashion, clothes. I used to do that a lot when I was a bit younger, but since the corona, I chose not to. I feel it's a waste. I can rewear the clothes that I used to wear, so I have no problem with that. So I don't spend a lot of money on clothing. Maybe once in a while I'd go to Kildare Village and buy myself something nice, but I'll make sure that I spend like 50 to 100 euro. But because my son now is here, I might consider to buy him something to wear, but in a month I would spend about 100 euro on clothing for him if I have to. But there's some months that just pass by, I don't even buy anything for him. So yeah. And then because I have a child, I do pay for his school fees. So my previous video, if you look back again, I did talk about his school fees. I do pay about 600 to 700 euro a month for his school fees. He doesn't need to transport to go to school. He uses the bicycles, which is very handy for me, so I don't spend money, but I have to give him lunch money so that he can have something for. And then savings, I do make sure that I save. There are some months when I can't, which is understandable. There are some months what I do put away at least 100 to 200 euro depending on my budget that month, and leave it for any kind of rainy days. So yeah, I think that's probably it. Food, groceries. I didn't mention. Okay, so let's talk about the most important thing, which is food. So we spend about 100 euro a week on food. So each week we go to Dance store, we do our shoppings in Dance and spend 100 euro. But I'll tell you a secret. If you spend more than 50 euro in Dance, you get 10 euro off that bill. So we spend 100 euro, another 10 euro on that. So you'll find that we have spent about 80 euro on a 100 euro bill, because they're gonna subtract 20 euro out of that. So that's the secret. Those savings in Aldi and Dan's and Lidl, make sure you utilize them, because they can save you a lot of money. So yeah, we don't spend too much money on dining. We used to before we got married, but now we find it quite nice to just cook at home, stay at home, enjoy a glass of wine, sit back and relax at home. We occasionally do go out, maybe on occasions like maybe birthdays or anniversaries, or yeah, but we used to do breakfast. We would go out for breakfast, which is quite affordable, lunch plus breakfast. So yeah, so we will spend about, I think for each would be about less than 30 euro for each, maybe 20 euro for each. That's a bit exaggerated, maybe 20 euro each for breakfast. Okay, so if we happen to go out on a dinner date, we would spend about maybe 30 euro each. So maybe for the meal itself, and then if you happen to buy a bottle of wine, it will be maybe 50 euro each. So you will spend about 100 euro, pay the whole meal. We don't go to luxury dinner stuff. Like I said, on occasions we can do a luxury dinner somewhere else, but yeah, so dinner time 100 euro, that's it.